life under the sea is better than anything they got up there.
So today we're looking at the work of Leo Leone, the artist and author. The book is called Swimmy. It's one of my favorite books by him, although he's written quite a few great books. I wanted to show you ways to draw sea animals. First, fish. Here's the easy way. Draw kind of a pointed football shape. Draw a triangle. Draw another triangle, but it's kind of squished and not as equal. Put a dot for the eye. Put the mouth. Maybe a fin down here. You've got a fish. You could put a gill here. Another way, make it more skinny. Now this is more of a shark, especially if you bend that triangle. Make a bumpy mouth, put a dot, and that fin. So that could be a fish if it had a straight mouth. Here's an octopus. Draw almost a circle, and then think of how hairs or tentacles move around in space. Now on the front, you really only need to draw 4, because it's hard to draw 8 of these tentacles. Be sure to put the suckers, or indicate a little bit of that on there. Mostly circles. Those are what's on the tentacle to help the octopus grab. Draw 2 big eyes. Circles inside of circles. I like to leave a circle inside of that. Something like that. That's an octopus. Now, you're going to need to draw some kelp, and that's seagrass. That's on the bottom floor of the ocean. Maybe some bubbles with white crayons, so those are circles. What other animals could you put? Maybe an eel. It's like a snake, but it lives in the ocean. Can be any color you like. You could draw some coral. That is a living form of the landscape underwater, and it can have all different colors. And it looks best when you color all this in really well with your crayons. We're going to do this on blue paper, and I'll attach the film, and so you can watch that and reflect on it and draw your favorite scene. But here we go, drawing an underwater habitat, an ocean floor for the lesson of Swimmy, the book. So I'm going to start with the coral. I like to use bright colors, like a bright orange. And here at school, we have these construction paper crayons, especially in the art room. So I like to draw this coral and then fill it in. So since I started with orange, all I have to do is press hard. Now, if you're at home, you could do a watercolor wash over this if you have the place and the paints to do it. And this will look even better, because what this is a crayon resist painting. Otherwise, it's a crayon drawing, which is exciting too, but you'll see that it adds a little bit of oomph and pizzazz and razzmatazz to what you're doing. And so that'll be interesting to look at. Think of all the sea life you want to include into this. Tiny, large, huge, all those different sizes and colors. And if you can add all that stuff in, it's gonna look even better. Now, I've quickly got my coral in. Looking for another color to blend with that. I want some orangish pink in here. It doesn't have to be all the way through it. Just a few of them. And while I've got this crayon, I'm going to draw Swimmy. There's Swimmy, my fish. Now, I'm going to leave the eye white, and I'm slightly shading in or coloring in Swimmy because I want it to resist the paint when I go over it. I need to find a white crayon. I brought 2 boxes so I could really find things. There's a white, and there's a bubble, 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 bubble. Different sizes of bubbles. Helps it look kind of neat. Putting some white into my coral also. Thinking about the dark color, I might use a purple. I know I'm going to use green for seagrass and kelp. So there's a little bit of that. Let's see. I'm thinking about what I'm doing. That's why I'm thinking about things. There's tentacles of an octopus. Just doing it like that. Drawing these circle shapes. Color in, but leave a little bit of a highlight or a shine on its shiny head. Slippery. We're describing the texture of ocean life too. If it's bumpy, we want to draw it that way. If it's smooth like an octopus, we're going to draw it that way. So my suckers can be white, and then I can just travel over that with my crayon again, and it looks pretty neat. I'm filling in the whites of the eyes because I want them to stick out, and then it's going to be black. And if I do it with a black crayon, it's going to look kind of cool. So I'm drawing my suckers on, just a few, just to give it a little bit of look and texture. I don't have to do all of them, and then I just go right around, color that in pretty dark. Push hard with your crayon so that all the wax gets into the paper. Like, that's really bright there, see? Yep, doing a laid back sea drawing about Swimmy. Swimmy was a fish that made friends with other fish, the blackfish, and then they got together and had a plan because Swimmy didn't want to be eaten by the tuna fish that had happened to his last group of friends, and he was really sad, and he found a new group of friends, and then that started to happen again with the natural predator, the tuna fish. And then so he didn't want to go through that again. He taught them how to band together and make the shape of a fish, and then they outsmarted and scared off those big tuna fish, and that was kind of cool. What a smart fish. Swimmy used teamwork, and teamwork is a good thing to know. You and your friends can work together and things can actually get better that way. Putting a little bit of shading on this octopus because I want it to kind of stand out. It's almost the star. I'm not going to draw a nose and a face and all that because they don't have them. And that's okay if you want to and make yours cutesy, but I'm not doing that today. I need a green to start coloring in some of this sea kelp or coral, and it could be growing right off of here too. Color some of this in. This is where the little fish would hide, right? If they weren't banded together like a big fish trying to scare things off anyhow. So I want to think about the colors I've used. Maybe I could have a purple jellyfish in here. And I'm going to go kind of light with this. I'm going to blend some pink with it. But that is a Portuguese man-of-war or a jellyfish. And no, they don't taste like jelly, like a peanut butter and jelly. There is no peanut butter and jellyfish that I know of. So, there's that. I need fish going different ways. So just go ahead and put your fish in. Leave the spot for the eye. And you don't have to fill everything in. It looks kind of exciting when you miss a part if you're going over it with watercolor or tempera. I'm going to go over this with a dark blue paint. And you might have done this with me before. I've done this with kindergarten classes and different groups of kids all the way up to 3rd grade because it's a fun thing to do. And we're talking about an ocean habitat, a place where fish and different animals, my friend the octopus, live. So I want to make sure I've got this in view. Here's what I've got. My sea coral. I've got some, I need a darker green to show that seagrass and kelp. And I could use a color really similar to this. That belongs with those. I need to use this purple color because I haven't yet. I'm looking for a dark green. There's a burnt sienna. There's a light green. So there's a pink. I think I've used something like pink already. I found a green. Okay, there's dark green. So if I can do long, thin, wiggly lines, that's a lot different than what I've already got. So that adds difference. And my picture is starting to look more exciting, just in 5 minutes of working. I push hard with my crayon, so you kind of have to hold on to your paper just to make sure that it doesn't get torn. But if you're doing this on construction paper, you should be okay. It's pretty tough stuff. Adding some tiny fish too. Show me different sizes of fish that you've seen. Have you had a goldfish? They're about this size. Something like that. And maybe I want one way over here that is really fast. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sea animals. And I'm going to put my eel right here. That's 10. I want a little bit of darker color down here in places. I'm just scribbling that on. I'm blending my color over the top of that. I really don't need much else. I mean, you can add as much into this from here as you would like. I do want a few more bubbles. I'm gonna draw one of them pretty hard. And then that shows me I've got an active ocean. I could put a crab down here if I have space. And I know I would need an orange or a red for that. A tan, maybe. Maybe I could have my crab up here and he's kind of floating. Kind of looks like a frog, but it's all right. So, here's the fun part. If you've got this, and I'm calling this Swimmy, and going to move my tempera paint. People at home, if you have watercolor paints, this is your opportunity to use them again. So I take a 1-inch brush. You could use a chubby brush. You could use this brush that comes with your watercolor set, but it takes a little bit longer. Here we go. Do I have a Kleenex ready? I am working on a place that is safe to do this because I have this poster board down. So I grabbed a paper towel, Kleenex actually. I've got my paint loaded up nice, and I'm going to go shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. Shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. You don't have to make the noise, but it is putting that paint in, and look at how cool that looks now. Some of it you're seeing the shine, and I can take some of that off. Blotting this is a technique in watercolor, makes it look oceany or watery. Lifting some of that paint off, especially where it's just sitting on top of the wax, it won't do any good there. And it might even flake off when it dries. So there we go. It's not a bad mess. It's pretty cool. There is my drawing of Swimmy. Make sure to watch the video and the story. It has a good moral component. It's about working with others and making friends. One of my favorite stories by Leo Leone. And here is my underwater scene of an octopus with a jellyfish and a crab and other fish and bubbles and coral and sea life. You could sign it right down here if you'd like. But here's my version of Swimmy by Leo Leone. Enjoy!